Well, I want to introduce you to some people and a program where once in your lifetime you will hear about something that government has done right. Now, given all the rhetoric, you never thought you'd ever hear anyone say that. But this is too good to be true, and it is true. Would you welcome tonight Katie Forbes and her son, John? Please, come and join us. We're here to talk about a scholarship program. You heard us mention earlier that the state of Florida has a number of scholarship opportunities, solutions really, for students. And you also may be aware that bullying in schools is a huge problem nationwide, including in Florida. Well, bullying is not what it used to be when some of us were in school. It is intense and debilitating these days. The state of Florida, when Richard Corcoran was Speaker of the House, passed into law a bill that provides relief for students who are bullied in school. It is unbelievable. When we talk about it, people say to us, "Are you sure that can't be right?" And we assure them it is right. And I want you to meet Katie and John and have them tell you a little bit about their story and how the Hope Scholarship was a solution to a serious problem. Katie, maybe you'd tell us how you first learned that this was going on with John.
Well, John always loved going to school. He's definitely one of those children that loves his teachers, loves all of his friends, and truly enjoys going each and every day. And for him, that quickly changed. So, you want to tell him a little bit?
So one of the kids came up to me and started calling me names. And then it got to the point where he hit me. And then that was it.
Now, that's a cut down version of what happened. It happened over a period of a couple of weeks, I think.
A little bit longer than that, actually.
Longer.
It went from fourth grade and really traveled into his fifth grade school year.
So Katie did what any parent would do. She went to the school for help. And she talked to them and tried to get some relief. But sadly, what you and I might have thought would happen didn't happen. Do you want to give us a little bit of insight into those early conversations?
Yep. Early on, I just notified the teacher to let her know, what was happening, to make someone aware of it. Later on, as it intensified, I asked for there to be a separation between the boys, and that the teacher was unable to do that. So unfortunately, it led to something a little bit more physical, which we were trying to avoid to begin with.
So make sure you hear what she said. What you and I might have thought is a normal reaction, remove the bully from the classroom, protect the kid who's subject to the problem, didn't happen. We don't know why, but it didn't happen. And so guess what happened? It got worse.
It ended up turning physical. The little boy actually hit John in the head over 15 times, and then later on tripped him and actually hit him in the face. So it turned pretty bad.
So John, would you tell us how you were feeling while all this was going on? Do you remember those days?
Mm-hmm. I felt like I was unheard and that nobody was listening to me.
But then help came. A little different than we might have expected, but you contacted the district office, if I remember the story correctly.
I did, and I had someone come out and actually interview John, who, heard about his story. We talked to him. He interviewed John and learned a little bit more about what was going on.
And that was the beginning of some improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me give you a little context about this. Early on, when Katie first talked to the assistant principal, the early reaction of the school was to make it John's problem. And how come he didn't do this or do that? Thankfully, when the district got involved, this gentleman came to the school, do I remember correctly, had
Right.
lunch with John,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and actually realized that John was not the problem. Can you imagine? Well, things began to improve. There was some separation of the bully from the classroom, but he was still in that same school, right?
He remained in the school. A policy was actually implemented where the two boys were not supposed to have any contact, and unfortunately that didn't happen either. They were together on the playground numerous times. And then my youngest son, Elijah, was actually in the restroom one day when the little boy came in, and he actually ended up locking himself in the stall because he was terrified. The little boy was starting to pick on him, so it was continuing.
So not only did it remain a problem for John because he was still in the school, but now it's shifted to Elijah, his brother. Elijah's here someplace too. Say hello, Elijah. Welcome. And John's dad is here and his grandmother. So we're really glad to have them here too. So that resulted in a little bit more attention. They began to notice, and over the course of time, something had to happen more than it happened. And so Katie did what responsible mothers would do. She looked for help, and you found it.
I did. Yes.
And how did you find it?
I was a little bit familiar with the Step Up program and some of the scholarships that were there to see if I qualified maybe for any of those, and I found the Hope Scholarship. And we knew at that point he definitely qualified, and we applied, which was a very easy process, and we got the scholarship, and he's now in a private school and in a great place and doing fabulous. So.
Yeah. Great. So tell us how school is now. It went from, I understand you had some upsets in the morning before you went to school when all this was going on. Maybe you woke up in the night upset by all of it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now how is school?
It's like perfect for me. Like, got tons of friends.
Now, one of the missing pieces of all of this is this, and this is why the Florida Citizens Alliance is getting involved. Millions of dollars had been set aside by the state of Florida to fund Hope Scholarships. In the neighborhood of 300 people in the state have taken advantage of this because we're convinced people don't know about it. Even more than that, when this incident first happened, the school didn't even mention to Katie that this was an option for John. And they are fully aware of it. Chancellor Oliva is here. He sent a memo to all the district superintendents so they would know what's going on and what to do. But no one told John or Katie about this. She had to find it on her own. What we're trying to do, one of our projects in the Florida Citizens Alliance, and one of the things your support helps, is we're trying to get the word out across the state of Florida for parents who have children who are terrified at school and who need help, and this is one tool. Now, make sure you understand, we use the generic word bullying, and when it went through the legislature, it was called the bully bill. This is about intimidation or harassment or fighting. If someone steals your lunch money, any kind of a threat that a student feels is an automatic qualification for the Hope Scholarship. All the parent has to do is go to the school and report it. There's a simple one-page form that is mostly check boxes to report what happened, and at that point, that student is eligible if they choose to go to a different school. Now, they can let the school solve the problem, and that's fine. We don't object to that. Nobody does. But in John's case, the school didn't solve the problem. Had every opportunity, but didn't. And so we're trying to let people know one of our challenges is that people don't believe it's real, and it is, and nobody needs it until they need it. So we hope you will help us get the word out. We have plans to eventually roll out across the state a hotline that students or parents can call to find out how to find help. We've had a few people contact us, and we've tried to connect them with people who could get through the administrative problems or whatever the problems is, because students should go to a school where they're safe, where they're comfortable, where they can learn without being concerned about what might happen to them. And parents need the security and the confidence to send their children to a school where they know they will get an education of the right kind, not the wrong kind. And so we try to say to people, take hope, not bullies, back to school. So I want to thank you for coming and for them telling their story. It is a success story like we can't hardly imagine and seldom hear about.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has given me so many opportunities.
Thanks for coming.